What's up, everybody? Aaron the Dog here, as always, here with Brandon of MMA Wagers, and we are here to break down yet another.
Gotta keep your hands up.
Yeah, I'm more of a hands down type of fighter.
Even Thompson gets it done.
Yeah, exactly. As anybody knows, I'm a huge Wonder
Michael
Boy
Venom
fan.
Page.
Yep, Michael Venom Page there, who's going to get revenge on Diego Lima very soon. Can't wait for that. But
he's a little delusional though. But yeah, we'll continue on.
Yeah, I think
he's saying that Diego's ducking him. Just stop. Just stop, Michael Venom Page. Just stop.
All I'm saying is I think slowly it went from, and then we'll get into the UFC breakdown, but slowly it's gone from Michael Venom Page being the delusional one to haters of Michael Venom Page being the delusional ones at this point. Yeah, every single person that Michael Venom Page beats becomes a can immediately after they face.
Derek Anderson's a can. Yeah, he beat Patricky Pitbull twice, and he's never been knocked out.
Never been finished. Never been finished, and he was
Keep riding that boat, guys. Keep sailing that boat.
But super pumped to still be breaking down 262. I know that Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards got moved a month, so now we have we just have another mega pay-per-view, and frankly, I think this one is maybe not one that has the stacked main card, but I just think top to bottom, there isn't a lot of fights I'm not looking forward to.
One of my good friends said he's not paying money for this card because it is kind of weak. It kind of looks like it should be maybe a ABC card, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think top to bottom, it still is really good, and I frankly would pay for the main card and will pay for the main card still, but it doesn't have those.
They took a big loss with Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards.
Right, it doesn't have
people
that
are still buying it because they think Nate Diaz is on this card. So
yeah, it doesn't have
wins either way.
It doesn't have that marquee attention-grabbing name. Michael Chandler not quite in the public lexicon yet, although the UFC is doing everything they can this week. As far as I know, it's just Michael Chandler fighting. I don't even know if Charles Olivera is fighting. I mean, it's this marketing machine, man, can really drive some lines to crazy places, and we'll talk about it.
That interview is one to go down for the ages. I'll never forget that.
Interview. I mean, we'll talk about it soon as we get through this card. Very intriguing main event. But we do have 10 fights to break down here, or 12 fights, to break down. 12 fights to break down, as well as we should have a couple special guests popping in when they can through the interview or through the breakdown. So we'll stop and we'll put timestamps for those as well. But Fernando Padilla and Jacob Rosales, both formerly of LFA, they're getting ready to fight this weekend on a card on Sunday that should be featured on Dana White's Looking for a Fight. So maybe one or both of these guys, if they put on a show, will be featured and possibly being launched into Contender Series or possible short notice replacements. But looking forward to this. We were talking before this, and I believe our first breakdown was Fernando Padilla's LFA fight against Nate Richardson. So
2 months ago now.
Yeah, time has flown by. I'm so sick of you at this point.
Sorry, 3 months.
I'm so sick of you at this point. I feel like I've known you for 3 years. So, but we're always just huge. We're just huge fight fans here. So when we get a chance to interview a fighter, I don't really look at the stature of the fighter's name. If you're doing this for a living at any level, I have a respect for you, and I am happy to talk to you. But especially with Padilla, he was one of my big money makers from the LFA on that card. Yeah, it was a split decision over a very wily veteran opponent, Nate Richardson, who's faced a ton of really good
Jimmy
talent.
Flick, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's Nate Richardson got finished by Jimmy Flick. And I'm just grabbing a marker so I can write the timestamps because otherwise
I think he's going to join in any second, and I guarantee Fernando will be in Contender Series or UFC one day.
Absolutely.
I'm speaking on his behalf, but I am all aboard the Fernando Padilla ship, and I'm riding it. I'm riding it.
I like how you pronounce Padilla. You pronounce it like quesadilla. You go Padilla.
Padilla.
Yeah, that's that Canadian coming out of you, man. But it is Padilla for the rest of us. Padilla. It is Padilla, but quesadilla, Fernando Padilla.
Maybe
whatever.
That'll be his new nickname one day.
Exactly. Yeah, but we're gonna go ahead and hop in here, and for now, guess what's back? It's back again. Split screen's back.
Tell everybody.
I never noticed, but did you ever notice on Tapology, it will tell you the enclosure of the event?
No.
Look at this. Octagon is the enclosure.
Well, it's 30 foot, right?
Correct. Yeah, great point before we go in here. Before we even get into the breakdown, we adjust on the fly here. Mr. Fernando Padilla joining us in the flesh.
How are you guys?
Terrible mood.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad that the internet's working well because we are live. So welcome in a bad mood for fight week. I can see Fernando. How you doing, man?
Really good. Actually, just really good. Excited, ready to fly today, and ready to go.
Absolutely. I don't know if you caught, but you have a little soft spot in Brandon and I's heart. You were on our first breakdown together on LFA earlier this year when you took on Nate Richardson. So you definitely were one of the first of all, that was a great fight and a fight that will only make you better from here on out. And you're on the right side of an unrightful split decision. So let's go ahead and hop in right there. How do you feel when both Brandon and I score fights, and we scored it pretty handily at 29-28 for you? First of all, it was I don't know if you pay attention to betting lines, but you guys were a straight pick 'em. You and Nate Richardson were, and it was a very competitive fight, but I do think the right side won, and we definitely touted the value of the Fernando Padilla pick there. So what are your thoughts when you hear that you were one judge away from getting a loss in a fight that you feel you won? How'd you feel you performed?
I mean, honestly, I feel it. I understand. I wasn't mad at all. I knew I won the fight, but I knew maybe one of the judges were going to give to Nate because of the last round. The last round was that decision. I'm pretty sure. It was just like a weird thing. It was my first time with open scoring. My corner told me you're winning, so he's going to come like really heavy at you. And then I've been saying this since the day. Like as soon as we went out to the third round, I can hear his corner screaming like, "Go, Nate!" So for me, I felt that my error was waiting for him because I was just how I dropped him in the second round. Like I knew he was good after, but I felt that like, okay, I know I can drop him again. Like if he's going to come all aggressive, I know I can catch him. And he didn't. He kind of stayed composed. He stuck to the basics, only jabbing and kicking and
like a shell of himself.
Yeah, pretty much. And at the same time, because I was just waiting, like I tell you, it looked bad because I was like, people start like, oh, is he gas out? Is his leg hurting? And it wasn't the thing. It was just like, oh shit, like, should I go more or he's going to come harder? So like, I was just waiting a little bit. So yeah, I wasn't impressed about that last judge.
Yeah, no, not at all. Definitely gave me a sweat. We never like to hear the names during the announcement. We just wanted to hear 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. But definitely for you, I have noticed your last few fights, and for the most part before this, you hadn't been going to decision. You've been getting a lot of finishes. You've got to value kind of that cage time and experience, though. And at some point, we're not able to get the finishes as we face these higher and higher levels of challenges. And so, what is kind of your thoughts on the last two fights, particularly Spike Carlisle and now against Nate Richardson? You're getting some like very high level experience here. You're, by the way, fighting this Sunday on Fury FC 46 against Cameron Graves. We got a classic striker versus grappler, not to demean your other tools of your game, but the grappling seems to really show up a lot on here, Fernando. What have you been specifically working on since the Nate Richardson fight? And of course, Brandon, hop in if you want to, too. I don't want to dominate the interview.
Yeah.
What have you been working on for this fight since Richardson, which was only in February? So, you know, I guess not only, it's been 3 months. It's kind of flying by, but what specifically have we been looking to work on in the Fernando Padilla camp since that fight? Without, you know, can answer that.
I mean, yeah, I know, without giving the game plan, right? But
of course,
I feel that, like, just in general, last year and this year, we've been focusing a lot, like, the whole entire team, and like getting everything on a better level. My striking, my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu in general. So like, I just feel I'm a more complete fighter now. I'm more well-rounded, and I know I can take I can take different fighters, like Nate being a striker, like Cameron being a grappler, and I'm confident. You know, I feel that that's the biggest thing of this year, that like my confidence went up in every aspect. Like, I know I can grapple now. I knew I can grapple for like
I was gonna say, man, you've been grappling your whole career, man. I see a lot there. Arm bars are grappling, sir. Triangles are grappling. Triangles are, you know. He's like, I know, but I'm getting better.
So, but like, I mean, I'm getting better in everything. My experience, obviously, my mindset, my experience, my weapons are better. So like, I feel that just all around, I'm better. Honestly, like general, like on Timo Yama, we don't focus just in one thing. We focus on everything. We train everything every single week. Coach is a really smart dude when it comes to like game plans and focusing on like what you need to do, what you're going to do for the next fight. And I mean, there's a lot of things that I could get better after Spike fight, that I felt that like, okay, that was a really, really big loss that I shouldn't take, you know, like, but hey, things happen. Like, you lost.
You were what, 22? You were what, 22 against Spike?
What do you mean?
You were what, 22 years old in that fight?
Yeah, I was 22 at the time.
Yeah, just so that people know. First of all, we don't. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Fighters are fighters. I don't give a shit what organization you're in. If you're choosing to do this for a living, and then you've gotten back in there, and then gotten back in there again and again and again, and you faced Dan Ige with 6 fights into your career, sir. You're 6'1", 24 years old. Dana White's about to be plastering your ass all over that, looking for a fight in YouTube, because I mean, this is what a prospect is. You take I always believe losses are a requirement of MMA. MMA is not an undefeated man's game. It just isn't. I get there's the Khabibs of the world. I get it, but for the rest of the 99.9%, you get those losses, and how you come back from those is way more telling to me than you know, a guy like Jordan Wright, we're going to be breaking down later, who beat several guys who were like 0-1. Then he finally, you know, I don't care if you're 10-0 and have faced less than 10 fights. Like, you're facing Dan Ige, you're facing Spike Carlisle, and I get it, you're on the short end now, but I mean, like, when you see where Dan Ige is, for example, Dan Ige is on the brink of contendership now, facing and beating guys like Edson Barboza. I mean, it's just like, what do you compare yourself, or is that more of an outsider kind of thing?
I mean, after the Dan Ige fight, like, I'm really happy for him, for like, you know, it talks a lot about me, and in the thing that like he couldn't finish me when I was like more inexperienced, or like when I was.
Were you a teenager for the Dan Ige fight?
No, I was 20, just turned 20. And,
just barely. Barely. You couldn't even have a beer after your Dan Ige fight, man.
When did you first professionally fight? Or like how old were you when you first stepped into the cage, amateur or professional?
18. I was 18.
Wow. So just out of high school?
Yeah, I literally turned 18, and then they offered me a fight. It's a funny story because they did like this tournament, big company back in Chihuahua, WBC. They make this tournament of 35ers, and
Okay.
two of the guys who were going to fight on the tournament were on my team. So they make like exhibition fights on my gym, and in both exhibition fights I was the guy who was going to fight with them, and I destroyed them. Like, with all the respect, like, I destroyed them. One of the guys, I knocked him out on the first round, and then I just tapped him all around, and the other guy, I just, like, he was all bloody after it, and it was really good. So after that, the guys from the company were like, hey, because they were watching the fight, the exhibition fight. So the guys were like, "Hey, we won that kid. We won that kid on the tournament." And I was 17.
I don't
I
blame
was 18 at the time. Oh, 17 at the time. And then my coach
Oh,
saying, "No,
17.
you can't."
Oh, because you're only 17. But how
Yeah,
many
and
years
then
experience did you have coming up to that first amateur fight? Like, how many years did you train? Like, have you been training since you were 9, since you were 11?
no, I start training at, well, I've been fighting all my life. Street fights, obviously. Like, I was I
Right,
was yeah, I was
Monty's all
always
the
the
time.
guy. I
Obviously.
was always the guy
Yeah,
fighting.
I'm a regular street fighter here, as you can tell.
I got
But
a few black
I
belts.
mean, Chihuahua is a different place. Mexico is a different
Yes.
place.
Yes,
There's
sir.
always the type of guys who are like, oh, you're good fighting. Oh, let me try. And I deal with a lot of those guys. Also, like, I have friends who like have a lot of drinking problems, and that
Mm-hmm.
caused me to defend them a lot of the times. But
Yep.
other than that, I start training at 15. I started boxing, and
Okay.
then 16 MMA.
So you've only been doing this for approaching 10 years.
Yep,
And you might
literally.
be in the UFC, like,
I hope.
by the end of this year. That's insane, man. But
Yeah,
but
it
Yep.
is.
your
There you
opponent,
go.
I've noticed your opponent has only lost to pretty formidable opponents. Like
Mm-hmm.
Ray Trujillo. I've heard of him. Ray Trujillo is a vet at this game. I know he has a lot of losses, but he's
Yeah.
still a dangerous opponent. I think Ray Trujillo actually knocked out Jimmy Flick. I could be wrong, but
Ray Rodriguez, I think you're
oh, was
thinking
that
of.
Ray Rodriguez? Sorry.
Yeah.
But Rafael Barboza too. He lost a unanimous decision at featherweight. I just hope. I obviously know you're not underestimating this guy. Uh, it's a big opportunity for you. We've been watching you for a while now, and you actually have a lot of good losses on your record. Spike Carlisle, Dan Ige, that Kurt Kisner fight really could have went either way. What are your thoughts on that Kurt Kisner fight?
I did wrong for that fight. Honestly, like, I was just in a different. I tell you, I was a little bit younger. I was a little bit unexperienced with the weight cuts and
Yeah.
everything for the fight. I remember we were on the hotel on it was Viejas Casino, and
Yep.
they have this big buffet. And I remember after the weight cut, I was just like, because we drive all the way over there, and because it was me and Desmond Torres. We were going
Yep.
to fight on the same card. So
Oh,
I remember we were on the back of Coach truck, just like dying, like just sleeping on the back of the truck.
You just
And then
overdid it.
when I saw that buffet, like, I just start eating. I
oh
remember,
shit.
yeah, the day of the fight, I felt
Hmm.
so heavy, so out of shape. Like, when I was inside the cage, I was like, fuck, like, this is because of yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
I
This
shouldn't be
is a good
feeling like this.
example of like NHL and NBA. They have 2 days to recuperate, get a win. But with MMA fighters, it's like 3 to 6 months for you to
Mhm.
rebound. And at that time, that specific night, you have to be 100%. There's so many different things that can go wrong. We just saw Jeff Neal apparently had to cut like 34 pounds versus Neil Magny last week. He had that
Mhm.
very bad episode in 2020. He had to be hospitalized. So there's a lot of X factors that goes into the fight night. Like
Yeah.
you guys don't get to show up 2 days later and rebound. You have to wait 3 to 6 months. So that's very understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel for that fight, that was my biggest mistake as a fighter, as a competitor. Like, just
And you almost won. You almost won. One judge had you winning.
I mean, it was a close fight. He just pushed the pace a little bit more, and
Yeah.
like I tell you, I felt myself really heavy. I was landing good punches. I was landing good knees. I was
Yeah.
defending his takedowns, and then like in one point, that all that stuff just like went away. Like he was taking me a little bit more down. In the striking, he was like pushing me back. I don't think he really like land more punches or like
No.
hit me with something, but like he was
It might
just
have been the
pushing.
volume. It was just more volume on his end.
Mhm.
But Kurt Kisner can't say he's performing uh, in front of Dana White on Sunday, can he? You're in front of Dana White Sunday. You can make a name for yourself, and I'm so excited, man. I can't wait. I love how fights are on a Sunday. There's no organization putting on fights
First
on a
time.
Sunday, so I love it.
It'll be on fight, and it will
Well,
be on Fight
Submission
Pass.
Underground with Chael Sonnen. He actually has a thing going on Sundays, but that's just a Submission Underground. It's not MMA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw those submission undergrounds.
Yeah, it's good, man.
I never fought on Sundays. It's going to be fun. It's a new experience, and it is what it is.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to having you in there. If we can bet on you, we will be betting on you. We'll stay tuned.
No
for
odds
them.
yet, but I would say you're a minus 200 favorite, like 2-1.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care about that. He cares about getting in there and proving
That's
it.
just me maybe being a fanboy, but I think you got this, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, through and through, guys. Definitely check out Fernando Padilla, or as Brandon was calling you before you came on, Padilla. So whichever you want to pronounce it as. Our Canadian
Padilla.
That's how
Fernando
you pronounce it up
Padilla.
in Canada is Padilla, apparently. But Padilla for the rest of us. He is, not the stereotype, but he is a Mexican fighter through and through. And if you're not a fan of Mexican fighters,
don't get comfortable off your back, Fernando. Judges don't like opponents being off their back, so just don't be on your back for too long. Because I know you're very dangerous off your back, but judges are fucked up, man. Even if you're elbowing the fuck out of the guy, you're not gonna win the round because you're on your back.
That's another thing that I've been learning with time. Like when I was in Mexico, I used to finish fights like that. I start finish fights here like that, but then I had to deal with people who just hug me and keep me there. And no matter how much damage
That's what Michael Chandler's gonna do against Charles Olivera, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing Dan Ige kind of did with me, like not putting him out of nothing, but like I feel that in one point I was doing too much. I was doing damage when I was on my back and everything when I was with Dan, but he just kept me there, and that was the mainly thing.
Yeah, if I'm a judge, I'm looking at the guy from the bottom. If he's doing more from the guy from the top, like we saw with, I don't know if you're a big UFC fan, but did you watch the Mike Trezano versus Lavoit Klein fight?
I
don't think that's the Mike Trezano fight, Brandon. I would love to talk about the full MMA. But
Mike Trezano was so active off his back, and that's why he won. The guy took him down 4 times, and he won a decision because he was more active off his back. So I think judges are taking that more into consideration.
Is it? And where is this fight taking place on Sunday, Fernando? Houston, and they don't have open scoring there. So you're going to be back to we're going to be back to being in the blind here. So, and for the most part, if you are to get to UFC, not a lot of shows in Kansas yet. So probably won't be dealing with open scoring too much as we approach the bigger show. But just before you go, because we would love to talk to you still, but we got a 12-fight UFC card still to go.
And we got Jacob Rosales joining us. You might see him fight night. Jacob Rosales. He was on Contender Series.
Okay.
Yeah, so, he'll be joining us towards the end here. So we got a couple people representing Fury, but is there any? Do you have any sponsors or social media you'd like to plug? Obviously Sunday is the fights, so we've got you covered on that. But anything else you'd like to plug before? We'll definitely be talking to you again, Fernando.
Nah, I know for sure, guys. I know. Just in general, just follow me on Instagram, El Valiente MMA. My sponsors, my Aussie Fight Dogs, and all the people here supporting me, my dad, my family over there, and then back in Mexico. Just stay tuned. Like you guys say, I'm a Mexican fighter. I always put all my heart in every single fight, and that's what I'm going to do. This is what I love to do, and I love to fight. I just love to fight, and you can see it when I'm there. Like, and he's not going to be the exception this time.
Yeah, we
Gotta be
can't
hyped
wait,
up,
man.
bro. I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Sunday. And I hope Dana
Yeah,
White
we're-
recognizes your fucking talent. And I think he will.
Yeah.
Let's
Thank you.
fucking go.
It's my
Yeah,
fucking time.
I mean, yeah, absolutely, man. But seriously, thank you for making the time to show up in the middle of fight week. It means the world to Brandon and I. And we'll talk to you soon, man. You're a member of the family now, so we'll be reaching out to you very soon. All the best
You
on
guys
Sunday,
are awesome.
brother. All right,
Thank you
take
so
care.
much
buddy.
for everything.
Thanks,
out.
buddy. See you, buddy.
All right,
See you,
we got
man.
Fernando Padilla, baby. Let's
Sunday
go.
night. Let's go.
Look at
Let's
that.
go. Woo!
Not an ounce of fat on that kid either. I'll go ahead and show the people a little bit of the work. Let's go.
Man,
Very
I wish
excited to
odds
see
will come
Fernando.
out. I'm going heavy. I'm going heavy.
All right, man.
All right, see you, man.
You have a
Take
great
care,
night.
buddy.
Take
You
care,
too,
brother.
guys. Have a good day.
Thank
Enjoy.
you so
You
much.
too.
All right,
He
that
didn't
was
wanna
Fernando Padilla.
He didn't want to leave.
Dude, I know
I'm
we
like,
didn't
is he
want him
gonna
to leave. We don't want him to leave, but we got to make sure he's focused on the fight, and we got to focus on a UFC breakdown now, my friend.
Yeah, let's
So,
go, man. So Chris
let's go ahead and
Salgagos,
hop
we were
in.
talking about.
Let's go ahead and hop in here. Thank you, Josh. Just to get back to you, if you're still with us. No, I don't think that.
One sec.
I don't think that Will Brooks is going to make a UFC return. He did beat Michael Chandler twice. Michael Chandler also has a loss to Brett Primus. Weird things happen. Bruce saying Bronx got this. Will outclass Chandler. We will see very soon. I will definitely have my thoughts on that main event. I'd like to say that I've had the same read throughout the week, but it's been going back and forth. So very interesting one. Bunny, obviously, with the support, looking good, guys. You're looking good as well. We appreciate it. And fire. Well said. But with that being said, we are jumping into the UFC breakdown here. So we started with an interview. We're probably going to end with an interview with Jacob Rosales as well. We will see if he can make the time. And yeah, I say that we go ahead and hop in to the breakdown. What do you guys say? Great. Perfect. Awesome. So we're going to hop in at the 145 division. And this is a fight between Sean Soriano and Christos Giagos, two guys who've been out of the UFC back into the UFC. Yeah, Zach just tuning in here saying he wants Charlie Olives to win, but Gut says Chandler by KO. Interesting. I don't want to tip off that fight till we get to it, but I got some thoughts on it, and I have some more thoughts on it. But we are starting at 155, not 45. I apologize. Sean Soriano versus Christos Giagos, the Spartan. I'm going to start with Sean Soriano. Sean Soriano is, I believe, making his return to UFC after several years. And I believe it's on short notice. Originally, Christos Giagos was supposed to take on Joel Alvarez, the long grappler out of Spain. I am 2-0 in Sean Soriano fights. I picked against him both times with Chaz Skelly, as well as Charles Rosa, which I picked a submission in the third round and got the perfect on that. Don't know how I called that, but I wish I was betting back then because a third round submission probably paid out well.
Probably felt as good that night as I do right now eating this cookie.
Oh, you're eating a damn! I'm
Chocolate
did not
chip,
notice.
buddy.
Very nice. But currently, Sean Soriano is on a 3-fight win streak over decent competition. Saul Almeida 20-11, although I believe Saul Almeida's lost something like 7 straight. Let me look. Saul Almeida, the Spider, who I'm 1-0 picking. Saul Almeida fights. I picked him to win in the third round.
He's not even in the UFC, so this shows you Aaron's a big fucking MMA geek.
Yeah, who did I don't know who I picked him over. Yeah,
It must have been like 7 years ago.
This must have been a long time. I'm trying to see who I picked him over. I have no clue who I picked him over, to be honest with you, because it was a third round win. Also, very bizarre. I don't know. Sorry, I'll look at that later. But he definitely has a lot of experience. Good regional win for Sean Soriano.
No, look who he beat last.
and Jose Marcial, and then Noah Lahat. Noah
UFC
Lahat
pioneer.
former UFC fighter, as well
prayers
as
to Israel, by the way. Like, that's fucked up. The things happening in Israel right now, prayers.
yeah. I have not.
Go my
Yeah, I
way.
don't really. I don't follow that, but yeah, it
I
is
know
very
people
sad.
don't, but it's stupid, man. People have to
Yeah,
know more awareness of Israel. Like, they're under attack right now, so it's
Yeah,
sad.
I know. But either way, Sean Soriano has looked really good in his last few. And Noah Lahat, very good win, although he is a more aging grappler. But yeah, he's 5'9", pretty well-rounded guy. In the past, he's had trouble when he's gotten wrestled, and his grappling is the weaker area. He's been submitted several times by guys like Kawajiri, Charles Rosa, Levan Makashvili, who's on everybody's record. And frankly, I think that Christos Giagos fights pretty similarly to like a Levan Makashvili. He's, a boxer wrestler type of guy. Definitely, not overly sized at 5'10", 71.5-inch reach, fighting out Black House, which has been on a little bit of a roll lately. Looked really good against Carlton Minus, but it's Carlton Minus, so one of the worst guys to make it into the UFC. Yeah. However, the fight I went back and watched that I really liked watching was Charles Olivera versus Christoph Giagos, where Christoph Giagos outstruck him 30-13 in the first round, and was grappling quite well, actually, with Olivera until Olivera kind of came from behind in the second round to get the finish. So,
and that's something that's rare to say about Olivera.
Yeah,
because he struggles with adversity.
It was a really good showing for Christoph. Since that fight, he's won 3 of his last 4. Had a very close fight with Drakkar Klose, which I don't have any shame in that, especially pre his injuries. Drakkar Klose is a very good fighter. So, Christoph Giagos, I just don't think quite gets the credit he deserves. He looked very good against Hadzovic, and he was an underdog, plus 150. Hirota, he was the big favorite, but he kind of just wiped the floor with him. Again, Carlton Minus, big favorite. When he's a big favorite, he does show through, and he's only lost to high competition. So, it's we've got, we'll get to the Chandler fight here, everybody.
I have Chandler as well, but I want a submission.
And here the Water Buffalo says, watch out for Soriano's kicks. And I agree, Soriano has very good kicks, but I do think that the takedowns
that would just lead to a takedown for Christos.
Right. So it gets to the point where Soriano's a little bit limited. Both these guys have gotten out of the UFC and worked their way back. I think that's a huge X factor for both guys. That's really a positive worth pointing out. I'm going to go Christoph Giagos here. He's just too well-rounded and really just more battle-tested. I do think Soriano approaching, 32 years old now? 32 years old. Christoph Giagos.
That's in the prime of his career.
So. Right. No, but I get that's in the prime for a lot of fighters, but I think a guy like Christoph Giagos, who is also 31, is more in his prime with how he fights as opposed to Soriano, who's a little more reliant on the athleticism, on the explosive techniques, and has been shown to be able to be controlled and grounded. So I'm pretty confident in this one. I like Christoph Giagos. I think there's a chance at the submission for Giagos, but I think for the most part, he works the ground and pound, keeps in position, and rides a 30-27 decision.
Yeah, the first card of any UFC event, don't go too heavy on. It might ruin your night, especially if you're doing DraftKings and you pick one of these guys. There goes your DraftKings lineup. So if you're really confident, take one of these guys. But Sean Soriano is coming in short notice. They're both making a second stint in the UFC here. Sean Soriano went a rough 0-3 to start off his first UFC career, and Christos has bounced back with a couple wins, obviously losing to some of the best in the lightweight division in Charles Olivera and Drakkar Klose. Sean Soriano did lose 3 in a row to Tatsuya Kawajiri, Chas Skelly, Chas Skelly's not a picnic for anybody, and Charles Rosa. and I believe Charles Rosa, that defeat was in Boston. So Charles Rosa said, "I'm not going out of there without a win." It was in Boston, Massachusetts. It was the McGregor versus Dennis Seaver headliner. So Charles Rosa had a lot of fans behind him. Since his 0-3 start in UFC, he's bounced back. He's got a few wins in CES, CFFC. He also has losses. He is riding a 3-fight win streak. Christos Giagos, I believe he's 2-1 since coming back. Sorry, he's 3-2 since coming back to the UFC. And he got thrown to the wolves, man. He got thrown to the wolves with Charles Olivera.
Really, go back and watch that Charles Olivera fight, man. He was winning that fight, like winning 2 rounds against Charles Olivera recently.
And that's huge because Charles Olivera usually crumbles against pressure. He's known to be a fighter who
we'll talk about that more. We'll talk about that more in the main event too. I have a lot to say about the main event. I don't always, but today I have a lot to say about it.
But this fight, yeah, like you said, Sean Soriano, short notice. Joel Alvarez, the Spanish fighter, was supposed to fight. He's like a modern day Charles Olivera. So I was really excited for Joel Alvarez to potentially get another submission because Christos Giagos is takedowns all day, and that would have played right into Joel Alvarez's game. You go for takedowns, you're getting submitted by Joel. I'm just telling you
But we've seen over and over again with Sean Soriano that this is how you beat him: is takedowns all day, cage control. I'm very confident.
Takedowns in his last 3 fights.
Yeah, I'm very confident in Giagos. I know you're not giving your picks.
No, but I'm just saying, and Sean Soriano also trains with Michael Chandler at Sanford MMA. It's a huge opportunity for Sean. Definitely. And at the same time, don't go too heavy on any opening fight in the UFC.
Yeah, and definitely we've. I think that this is one I am confident in Giagos, and I do feel there's enough information on both guys against this level of competition to where I do feel comfortable putting him in parlays at -210. But I get a lot of people will be sticker shocked by Giagos at -210. I don't feel Giagos gets the respect he deserves.
So $21 to win $10.
Yeah.
That's really not that bad.
And especially if you parlay it with how close all the odds are on this card, there's not any ballooned out odds here. So they both have a lot to lose, and they both have a lot on the line. So and they both exited the UFC, entered it, both 31 years old. This is very fortunate last-second matchmaking, in my opinion, for the UFC. And I think that shout out to them for being able to continue to put on fights with people that deserve to be there. And I also like this fight quite a bit, and it's going to lead us into the next one here. This is
find my phone. 1 second.
Never fails when I get to introduce a fight that you'll leave. Kevin Aguilar taking on Tucker Lutz. This is at 145, so now I get my featherweight fight. Tucker Lutz 11-1, fighting out of Maryland, so right near me in Washington, D.C. Ground Control Academy as well as Shattuck MMA Academy. Tucker Top Gun Lutz 11-1, 26 years old, 5'7", so 72-inch reach. Usually has fought at lightweight in his last fight, and really did. I frankly think both of his fights on the Contender Series, he started to look a little bit labored as they went, but those wins did come over Chase Gibson. Chase Gibson, a very good fighter, in my opinion, a really good litmus test for a lot of regional MMA talent. And then Sherrod Blackledge, who was undefeated, a lengthy, tricky striker who he got to play right into his game plan and grapple. But Tucker does, put some labored movements into his takedowns. He's pretty one-dimensional with that for the most part. He looks for takedowns and ground and pound. He does have a few quick finishes, but they're over lower-level MMA opponents like a 3-4, an 8-11, 2-2 type of opponents. When he has stepped up with the higher level of opponents in the last two, he has been pushed to a decision. He does, for the most part, get to kind of that point where he just gets kind of tunnel vision with his takedowns, really looks to get the body control. And that was at 55. He was slowing down. Now he's cutting down another 10 pounds and going against a guy in Kevin Aguilar, who this dude's going to push the pace. Every fight Kevin Aguilar's in, he pushes the pace. I have picked him in all three of his UFC fights. I am 2-1 currently in the fights I picked. He is on a 3-fight losing streak. He started out his UFC career with 2 impressive performances against Rick Glenn and Barzola. Then he took that step, the proverbial step up, lost pretty handily in a decision to Dan Ige, but then was put away by Tukugov early in round 1.
I think that was in Russia. That was in Russia as well.
That was in Russia. And then had a really, really close split decision with Charles Rosa, where he just allowed Rosa to get into the grappling too much. Sorry, Josh, we already answered this, but answer it again. I think Will Brooks has had a pretty rough go of it outside the UFC. And I'm not sure as of now where he is fighting or who, but I think he needs a few more before he starts thinking about getting into the upper echelon again. Seems he's had a little bit of trouble since leaving the UFC, even when he was in the UFC. It's all good. No, it's all good, Josh.
I'm going to take the Kobe Covington answer and say, who's that?
Will Brooks. All right. Well, Will Brooks, he beat Michael Chandler twice.
Wait,
so
who's
he's
that? Who?
Yeah, but Kevin Aguilar, one thing with Kevin Aguilar, he will always push the pace. One of my favorite fights, if you're going back to watch Kevin Aguilar fights, is the Damon Jackson Kevin Aguilar fight, where you got that 3rd round knockout. I just think that Kevin Aguilar also coming down in weight for this fight. So both guys are cutting an extra 10 pounds now. I think that's very interesting. And Kevin Aguilar has fought at featherweight before. So he, again, the Damon Jackson fight, I think that really if one of these two is going to push the pace and kind of drag it into deeper waters, I think it can be Kevin in this fight. So I do like, Tucker's power and wrestling, but if the fight can't get there, I do think Tucker tires himself out after round 1. This could be a potential live bet situation for Kevin Aguilar as well. He's already the underdog, though, so I do like him at dog money. But you can possibly give him at even bigger dog money after the first round. I think that there is a chance that Tucker can come in there and put him away in the first round. That's when Tucker's going to be at, obviously, his highest velocity and has good finishing ability prior to the last 2. But I'm going to take Kevin Aguilar, the Angel of Death, to start to push the pace, increase the pressure, has a little more space in the 30-foot octagon here. The crowd, I think, will be on Kevin's side. I think Kevin's just a more fan-pleasing, closer to that region fighter. So we saw how the fans affected 260 at 261 at points, including Weili Zhang coming out in her corner saying that's why she wasn't able to stay calm, was the booing. So I think Kevin Aguilar is more of the crowd-pleasing, crowd type of fighter. So I'm going to take Kevin Aguilar to win a decision in this one. I think on the feet, Kevin Aguilar is miles ahead.
Yeah, Kevin Aguilar, this will be a hometown advantage for him. I'm pretty sure
he's out of Texas. Yep, he is out of Texas. You're right.
Yep, fighting out of Texas. So the crowd's definitely going to be behind this man. It's a good fight, though. It's a competitive fight. Tucker Lutz is on a good winning streak. Kevin Aguilar's back is against the wall for sure. I did not think he would even get another chance in the UFC, but after 3 losses in a row, they're bringing him back in front of a full capacity audience, I'm pretty sure, with like 18,000 people.
Yeah.
So this is a big opportunity for him. I had big expectations for Kevin when he came into the UFC. He was like an LFA champion. He defended his belt a few times. It's just he's had a string of bad luck, in my opinion. Dan Ige, like we talked to Fernando Padilla or
Padilla.
Padilla.
Padilla. The two L's is a Y. Come on, white boy.
I'll say quesadilla every time. But yeah, like we were talking about Dan Ige, he's like, that's not a bad loss to have.
Not at all.
Tuhugov was in Russia. He got blitzed, and Tuhugov's going to do that to 9 out of 10 guys he faces. Charles Rosa could have went either way. Tucker Lutz is coming off 2 wins in the Contender Series.
At 155.
Promotion at 155.
And looked tired.
Dropping down.
And looked tired at 155. He looked labored in both those Contender Series fights.
I'm very surprised Dana White even signed him to a contract. I said as soon as he beat Sherrard Blackledge, I'm like, there's no way this guy's getting signed. He won a boring decision against Chase Gibson, and he rinsed and repeated against Sherrard Blackledge. And I'm like, there's no way he's getting signed. But somehow he does. He doesn't even get signed with like an impressive finish or anything. I know he's like bring your lunch pail to work kind of guy. Like
he's got a pretty record. I think that's why he got signed. He's got a very nice looking record.
Well, yeah, if you're a Shogun Fights fan, if you tune into Shogun Fights on a regular, which I can't name one person who does, you're a big Tucker Lutz fan because his whole career has been in Shogun Fights.
Which is a Maryland-based production or promotion. It's where Greg Fisher, who was able to build an undefeated record also before facing Jimmy Flick. So it's one of these promotions where a lot of times they're going to boost their local talent. Out of Baltimore, Maryland, Tucker Lutz definitely has that. I mean, I just think that Tucker Lutz has a name that like you feel like you'd see on a UFC card, if that makes sense. Like Tucker Lutz, like just that sounds like a UFC fighter. He's 11-1. He looks the part. He just doesn't play the part from these last 2 performances, in my opinion. And
he's like
cutting an extra 10 pounds, I don't think is the best idea. But he's 5'7" and has a 70-inch reach. He's not
like
going to
a four-man versions of Pat Sabatini, in my opinion.
Hey, Kevin Weeks is here finally.
Finally, what up, Kev? Good to see you, buddy.
Say hi to Boston Comments.
Pat Sabatini, he's like the Fisher's Price of Pat Sabatini.
Yeah, and Pat Sabatini, I did watch him live, and it was okay. It wasn't
good, man. He's really good.
Didn't blow the doors off.
Finally, like 30-26. So
yeah, it didn't. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm being facetious here, like saying So I think it's perfectly fine. And Kevin Weeks is doing good. That's good. I'm glad Kevin Weeks is doing well. So my pick is going to be
able to sleep tonight if I thought he wasn't doing well.
Yeah, I was worried.
It would struggle with my sleep pattern.
Yeah, but Kevin Aguilar is going to be my pick. I'm going with a decision. We got the even dog, baby, plus 100 for Kevin Aguilar, minus 120 to minus 125.
The UFC debutant.
Yeah, and the debutante off 2, okay performances. And there's Kevin saying hello to – there he is. I love you, Kevin.
Get Boston back on here.
How we looking? And so, I got the dog in fight number 2. We are going to go a little bit quicker through some of these just because I do have another podcast to get to, and I want to save time for Jacob Rosales if we need to. This is going to be one of those fights I speed through, man. I'm not that excited about this fight. Gina Mazzani versus Priscilla Cachoeira. I call Priscilla Cachoeira a ketchup eater, zombie girl. We remember her from her performance against Valentina Shevchenko, which I got that fight right. Basically, I am 2-0 picking Priscilla fights. I just pick against her. That's it. And I didn't pick the Shayna Dobson fight because that fight.
She's been a struggle for the UFC to handle. If you look at her canceled fights, it's like visa issues, drug test issues.
Weight issues. She's had it all.
Yeah, there's a lot.
She started out her career 0-3, somehow got a 4th fight against Shayna Dobson, who was coming off that fight against Mashka, where she got the upset, the biggest upset in UFC.
Maria Agapova.
Yeah. Yep. And she caught her early with an uppercut and put her away. I mean, but besides those 40 seconds, Priscilla Cachoeira has not looked that great. Gina Mazzani, not like the best fighter in the world. fighting out of Extreme Couture, 32 years old, now fighting at 125. 2 fights ago, she was fighting at 155. She came in and got blitzed by Julia Avila in 22 seconds and then came back and beat Rachel Ostovich. So Rachel Ostovich might be one of the
Rachel Ostovich had one of the best moves I've ever seen in that fight.
That back take?
Yeah, how did that happen?
Crazy back.
How
back
flexible
take.
do you have to be to pull that off?
Yeah, and
I thought the UFC was going to keep her just for that.
And Gina Mazzani is fighting on Glory. She's back with Tim.
She took her back from full mount. She took her back from full mount, people. Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't think Priscilla's going to do any of that, but Gina is back at Glory MMA with.
And she has a brother that fights. Dave Mazzani is a MMA fighter, and she's in a relationship. I don't think they're married, but
no, they're just together.
Her fiance, Tim Elliott, is her fiance. A very top-ranked flyweight in the UFC.
I mean, he's a ranked flyweight at this point. I wouldn't say top.
I think number 8, number 7.
I mean, what is there? 15 flyweights?
There's like 45 flyweights. There's a lot of flyweights.
I'm just kidding. But my pick, Gina Mazzani by decision. I don't expect too much out of this one, and she's not going to be on a lot of my cards, to be honest.
She's the heaviest favorite on this fight card, so that tells you something.
Let's just move. So we can move on, I think.
Well, Priscilla is a dangerous opponent. She friggin' got booked into the deepest ends of the water against Valentina Shevchenko. You can't give her any hate on that.
Like what, 220 significant strikes?
Yeah, and Mario Yamasaki actually got his job revoked. I think he got fired for that fight because Priscilla took a lot of damage that was unnecessary, and that was Mario Yamasaki's last fight he's ever reffed. So, Luana Carolina, we all know she's underestimating. She just beat friggin' Ariane Lipsky, I think, or I know she just beat somebody. Molly McCann, that was in enemy territory.
Real quick, Tim Elliott is not a top 3 flyweight. So you're roll.
I didn't say top 3. I said top 9.
I'm showing this comment, which could not be more factually untrue. That's
I'd
not
say top 3 flyweight is probably top ranked.
Since when are you top 3 when you beat Jordan Espinosa? No, sorry. I don't care if you interview him.
Well, no, Tim Elliott is underestimating. He's very awkward. He's paid his dues, so I'd say he's a top 5 ranked flyweight in the UFC.
Yeah.
Like, who else are you going to say? There's Davison Figueiredo.
Askarov, Davidson Figueiredo, Brandon Royval, Kai Kara France. Let's see.
I think Tim Elliott could beat Kai Kara France.
I would still not. But, yeah.
Definitely top 5. Top 5, arguably. But, Gina Mazzani is definitely... She trains with James Krause, so she's... I just don't understand how she's the biggest favorite on the card. Do not parlay Gina Mazzani in anything. Priscilla's a dangerous Brazilian woman. That's one of my guidelines. Beware of the scary Brazilian woman. So she definitely flies under that category, and I'm not going to be counting Priscilla out in any regards.
Especially a Brazilian who's failed drug tests before. She can win this fight, and then afterwards we find out a week or 2 later.
But we got our money still.
Just like we did with Renan Ferreira.
I heard bookies did refund people
Some did. I know Bovada didn't, but I bet Ferreira, so I don't care.
Yeah. I just bet under 1.5. I got my money.
Yeah, and my bets, I just misunderstood Zach here. He was saying that if you're not in the top 5, you're not top ranked. So I was like, okay. Yeah.
I know. I did classify him as very top ranked. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I would
say top 5 at least. Top 5, top 6.
Fine. We'll move on to the next fight. We both have Gina Mazzani. We're not stepping near that price, and frankly, at the price, I should be doing my traditional. If it gets a little bit higher, if Priscilla gets over plus 200, I'm putting a sprinkle on her because I bet plus 200 lower level females when they're taking on another lower level female. It's just plain and simple. Gina's been knocked out plenty of times before. Priscilla can knock her out. And so, but I don't really want to talk about that fight much more. I think this is a much better fight here at 125, and it's between Andrea Lee and Antonina Shevchenko, also known as the Lesser Shevchenko. 36 years old, Antonina is. She's coming off a very good win. Not a very good win, but a good win over Ariane Lipsky, where she definitely has been working with her sister on wrestling and grappling, because that is what's beat Antonina in both of her UFC fights quite handily. Caitlin Chukagian turned into a wrestler against her. I don't know how many takedowns she got against her, but it seemed like it was the entire fight Chukagian was on her back, or on top of her. And I'd never seen Chukagian dominate so much in that. It was like, because
underestimated grappling, bro. She does have underestimated grappling.
Chukagian is one of these fighters who had that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but never used it. And now she's starting to use it towards the latter half of her career.
First off, MMA Stooges, Andrea Lee isn't with that man anymore. That was like fucking 2018 or something.
Yeah.
So
that
has nothing to do with this fight at all.
Yeah, and it kind of gets brought up with her quite a bit, but I'm not.
Yeah, but she's not even with that man anymore. So.
No, I know. I'm not addressing that. Like, it's all good. We're talking about the fight here. So yeah, with Antonina, she is 3-2 in the UFC. Has a rear naked choke and a ground and pound victory, as well as probably her best win, which was her first win against Ji Yoon Kim. She did lose to Kagian as well as Modafferi. Andrea Lee. Definitely mired in controversy everywhere she goes. I don't pick Andrea Lee fights well. I'm 1-3 in the ones I picked. For the 32-year-old,
there's been some controversial decisions in her past.
We've got split decisions over Joanne Calderwood, over Lauren Murphy, and a decision over Modafferi. All those fights were decently close.
Could have went either way in all three of those.
Absolutely. She was scheduled to take on Jillian Robertson, my girl, and then she broke her nose in training. Honestly, didn't look like that bad of a nose break for Andrea Lee, and
maybe it was her Nazi boyfriend.
Maybe it was. Good job, everybody. Yeah, Andrea Lee. This is a make it or break fight. She's 3-3 in the UFC. She loses this one 4 straight. She's gonna be cut, I think.
I thought she would have been cut already.
I think that this is a fight that Antonina should be able to pull out, but it's one that both these girls fight their opponents pretty close, and I think this could be one where we're hearing both names on the scorecard, so like a split decision type of thing. Again, I'm not crazy about these first 2 fights and betting these as the female fights to bet. And you know, it's close, and the odds say so. Also, I think it's a decision, close decision, 29-28 to the winner either way. I'll lean Antonina Shevchenko though. I just think that based on, you know, maybe this isn't fair, but she trains with Valentina. She trains with her sister. Yeah. Her sister's game plan going into the Jessica Andrade fight was wrestle. So what is she probably working on with Antonina? Wrestling. On the feet, I do think it's close as well, but I think Antonina is a little better on the feet. I just think she kind of edges this one out, so I'll take Antonina by decision.
Yeah, it's probably going over. I know the over prop is pretty inflated, but Antonina does have a lot of second round finishes. I noticed. Every one of her finishes is in round 2. So if you want to get a finish prop, round 2 Antonina might be worth a look.
I love those round 2 props, man. I love betting round 2. It's probably my favorite of the rounds to bet. You know, it's like, I don't know. I've hit a lot of round 2.
You're gonna get tired.
Yeah, and especially with these Muay Thai style fighters, you know, a lot of times that first round they're really figuring out the timing, patterns, and things like that. And then the second round we see them. I don't mind that at all.
The only thing that worries me is Andrea Lee has only lost by 1 submission. It was a rear naked choke. Are you able to get the rear naked choke loss up there?
Yeah. So I'm just getting over to Andrea Lee now.
I know she's got a lot of controversial decisions, but somebody did actually put her away. Sarah DeLeo.
Yep, back in 26. Back in
and
2016.
that was in round 3. So also, Andrea Lee has multiple round 3 finishes. So I think this fight is for sure going over one round. I know that's like going to be juice to the gills, but this is one of the most confident picks I can say going over one round. 3 out of 11 of Andrea Lee's finishes are in round 3. Every one of Antonina Shevchenko's wins have come in round 2, other than going the distance. If she's going to get a finish, it's going to be in round 2. She comes from a very good camp, Tiger Muay Thai. She's a pilot. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but she can fly a plane. That's a dangerous fucking job as it is. I can't imagine flying a plane. I don't want that responsibility. So, and at 36, she's getting better. I can't believe she's getting better at this age. I thought if anything, she was going to decline, but at 36 years old, this woman is getting better as a competitor. But I do like Andrea Lee. I think she's been shorthanded on the judges' scorecards recently. I'm happy the UFC brought her back. She's a good-looking girl. She's got the Houston look. She's got the cowboy hat on. She's a fan favorite. It's gonna be a close fight. I like the over at the end of the day, but I think both these ladies have a lot to win and a lot to lose. At the end of the day, I think Andrea Lee is very fortunate to get this opportunity. So
I think she really is definitely live. Plus 100 on Andrea Lee, minus 125 on Shevchenko again. So another very closely lined fight. I think this is actually closer than the Aguilar versus Lutz fight. So it's interesting they had the same odds. It should be a very good fight. Both these girls are ultra technicians. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll get into a 185 fight. Unfortunately, Jamie Pickett was not able to join us, which is totally understandable. We'll look forward to having him on very soon. But he is taking on Jordan Wright. And this is at 185. Very good. Another very good matchup. Two guys, 6'2", both high reaches, 77 inches for Jordan Reach, 80 inches for Pickett. It's the Night Wolf versus the Beverly Hills Ninja. Jordan Wright is training Dynamics MMA as well as at times Jackson Winklejohn, 29 years old. Very well known for going on to the Contender Series and getting starched by Anthony Fluffy Hernandez very quickly. It was overturned for a marijuana test.
No, fuck that. Fuck that.
Yeah, I would also get my. I would also get my.
He got knocked out, guys. He got knocked out.
He got knocked out hard. His coach is Vladimir Matushenko, which I think is awesome. Old school UFC.
And a
Henry Hoof,
Australian guy, right?
Is it Henry
Hardonk? Anthony Hardonk?
Anthony Hardonk, yes.
Yeah.
Austrian, not Australian. You hate.
I don't know why, but I fucking hate Jordan
because his name is Beverly Hills Ninja. He looks very punchable, and he had that highlight on the Contender Series.
Man, that EK win was bullshit. The guy got cut up. EK was putting a pounding on him.
Yeah, he just landed on.
Jordan Wright is fortunate that EK got cut up.
Yeah, but Ike is not great either. The fight that I really liked.
Ike should have been on this card. He's a Houston resident.
Yeah, the fight I really liked out of Jordan Wright was his fight against Gabriel Checheco, actually. A very good grappler, big guy, and he really put it on him. And second round ended it with knees and punches. It's on YouTube as well. And then against Joaquin Buckley, he was having a good first round, but he just was allowing himself to get backed up against that cage, just like Anthony Hernandez allowed to do. And if he does this against Jamie Pickett's going to do a blitz like he's done against many fighters, including Jonathan Patti. That's not the first time he's had that sort of attack. And I just think Jamie Pickett needs to really focus on his footwork in this fight, because if his footwork's sloppy, Jordan Wright can pick him apart. And people don't want to hear that, but that is how Jordan Wright wins this fight, is if Pickett just is trying to blitz
with his hands down, like you like to do.
Yeah, exactly. Just like I like to do in podcasts. But Jamie Pickett, very good fighter, 11-5, 32 years old, 6'2", 80-inch reach. Lost a decision to Tefon Nchukwu, who I was very wrong on last week. One of my more confident picks at minus 140.
Okay.
And man, did I not feel good about that. But that's what happens when you put a 5-0.
You actually won a round, but the point deduction really fucked you.
Yeah, and so either way, not my best advice, but it will happen. Pickett
And look
has
who else he lost to, one of the best Hawaiian fighters in the UFC right now.
and he took everything that guy had also and put it on Soriano. Soriano has become a better fighter from that fight because of what he had to push, because of how much Jamie Pickett, I think, pushed him in that fight. So
I see that guy going far, Soriano. I like that guy.
I agree. Pickett also stopped Christian Torres. We know Christian Torres.
Staph infection. Man, he had a Band-Aid, Daehyun Jung. He had a Band-Aid going in, and then did you see Tefon bleeding profusely? And then friggin' Daehyun Jung's putting his chest right into his friggin' cut. Like, man, I want to hear what happens in the next week. Like that's
it looked like a shock.
That's contagious. That's contagious stuff.
I don't know how he got cleared to fight, but
that's fucked up.
3 fights on the Contender Series for Wright. He did lose his first 2 before coming back and winning that third. Overall, he's not had the best luck inside the octagon, whether it's a Contender Series or whether it's in the main show. So this is definitely a fight that originally I was really excited to kind of go heavy on to Pickett. I do think that Jordan Wright is the more technical fighter, however. I think that as long as he doesn't make these same tactical errors he made against Joaquin Buckley, where he, allowed himself completely to be backed up to that fence and take those shots, I think there's a chance he can really kind of expose the lack of technique in a lot of Pickett's striking. That's where I think Pickett has to mix it up with his takedowns. I think the takedowns need to be implemented early and often here. Cage pressure will be huge as well for Pickett. So I am going to take Pickett, but it's not one of my more confident picks of the night, honestly. I do think Jordan Wright has a very good camp. He's going to have a very good corner, and I believe he is the more technical, cerebral of the 2 fighters. But I think Pickett has the physical gifts and capabilities to put Jordan Wright away. Jordan Wright has been KO'd twice, and I do think that is Pickett's best route to victory. I am going to take Pickett by KO, but this is not one of my more confident picks. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is definitely a fight where you don't want to go too heavy on two unproven commodities. Jordan Wright is a very more unproven than Jamie, in my opinion. He's got that no contest versus Anthony Hernandez where he actually got knocked out. What you call him? Ike
Villanueva. You just don't know how to pronounce Mexican people's names.
Ike.
It's Ike.
Okay, so
do you call him Mike Bisping?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay, but yeah, like Jordan Wright, you can't really,
we will not be
beaten. I'm just gonna say on this fight, it was so surreal to talk to Fernando Padilla. Padilla.
Jesus.
It was very surreal to talk to Fernando Padilla. Rewind this podcast right now. Listen to our conversation with him because that's the highlight of this whole thing.
Okay. Well,
and Jacob Rosales is coming on soon.
Great. But we will not be breaking down Combate Americana anytime soon with the way you pronounce Mexican people's names.
Well, no, I don't want to break down the Combate Americas anyways because they don't know how to promote their promotion at all. And I guarantee you they have a fight this Friday night and nobody even knows about it. So
well, they get the third most viewers from being on Univision though.
I guess a lot of Mexicans are tuning in.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. With that being said, before we get Brandon to get us canceled here, we're going back to the 145 division for a very, very interesting fight here between Mike Grundy and Lando Groovy Venata.
First off, Aaron, did you know Lando's age before researching? Like, if you had to guess what Lando's age was.
I mean, I would guess like 30, 31.
That's what I thought, like 32, 33.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
young gun.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of tread on those tires,
A lot
man.
of mileage.
Yeah, like that's the thing is
So how
first of
old
all,
is he? He's only
he's
28.
29. He's 29.
Oh, 29, okay.
Just turned 29. Says he's fighting on Jackson MMA.
BMF ranch with Donald Cowboy.
Yeah, 5'9", 71-inch reach. This is his featherweight debut. He hasn't ever fought at featherweight, correct?
Wow, I didn't realize that this was even a featherweight fight.
Yeah, and Grundy's fought his whole UFC career at featherweight. Lando coming off the loss to Bobby Green. He was taken down in that fight. He was taken down 4 times in the Mark Diakase fight. He gassed against Matt Frivola and almost got finished in that fight. Was taken down 3 or 4 times in the Drakkar Close fight. Was taken down by David Tamer. He's had a lot of fights where he started out quick, first round having knockdowns or rocking his opponent, and then ended up slipping after that. He's now cutting 10 pounds, and he's now like, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record because I just said this with Tucker Lutz, but Lando was labored and struggling at 145, particularly whenever Lando would attempt to grapple.
155, you mean? 155.
Right, 155. And now he's at 145. And particularly when Lando would grapple. And even though Lando was I believe a walk-on for Colorado State's wrestling team, he's just one of these guys who has not transferred his wrestling at all to his MMA career. You would have no idea he was a wrestler. When he does wrestling,
is one of the worst arts you can have in MMA nowadays because of the way judges judge fights. Wrestling, honestly, it used to be the best. Wrestling used to be here. It's like down here now. Like
but Lando doesn't even wrestle. He just mostly kind of throws on his feet and likes to look cool, hands down.
He's a fan favorite for sure. I'm a fan of Lando. I like Lando.
Yeah, I mean, he had that wheel kick over Makdessi, and in my opinion, never reached those heights again. I know he had a win over Marcus Mariano, who was 6-4, and
Anderson Silva's guy.
Right, and he's one of the worst guys to be in the UFC. And then he had a decision win over Yancy Medeiros. That was impressive. Mike Grundy, straight up, his stand-up is pretty much a right hand that he spams over and over again. Trains with Darren Till at Team Cabone in Liverpool, 34 years old. So we're getting to the edge here for a 145er. Especially
he's had very few fights, so he's got a lot of mileage on him still.
Yeah, but the gas tank we saw against Movsar Evelev, he was very close.
Movsar Evelev's one of the best in the division. Nobody's promoting a fight for that
go ahead and you can take the rest of this breakdown.
No. I'm just saying Movsar, like you gotta.
If I could finish talking, maybe I could. If I could have finished talking about it.
Okay, fine. You go.
But he did have Movsar in a deep Darce choke in that first round. It was very close. Yeah, it was very close to being tapped. But after that, we kind of saw the gas tank dissipate from Grundy, which will happen when you go for that squeeze and fill up those arms. But it happens more as you get into.
Let you talk because you're very knowledgeable, and that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, it's almost like I know what I'm talking about. Almost. But before that, had a really good performance against Nadnir Rahmani, where both guys kind of threw down, and he ended up getting his first KO by punches in that fight. I really like Grundy a lot. He has a world-class Greco-Roman wrestling game. I believe he medaled at the the Commonwealth Games. Which is a European kind of like Olympic style event. Wasn't ever in the Olympics, but has kind of close to that level with wrestling, at least for England. This is striker versus wrestler here. I think that Lando definitely can take that first round, and live betting Mike Grundy is kind of my route here because I think Mike Grundy is going to be the one who with more gas here. I think he did learn from that Darce mistake he made in the Evelev fight. Before that, for the most part, he's shown good ability to kind of fight through the adversity. And I like Grundy to be able to get takedowns in 2 or 3 rounds and win this one.
Yeah, whenever I see Lando Venata fight, I'm intrigued on that draw bet because he's had 2 draws in his UFC career so far.
I mean,
So
he's
if
the
we get
type
a
who
10
can
8,
definitely get a knockdown 10-8 type of first round and then dissipate too.
Mike Grundy might just stall out the round 2 and round 3 for a 10-9 even. So you never know. That's the first thing that jumps out to me because it's very rare you see 2 draws in your UFC career like right off the bat. Lando has a very salty UFC record: 3 wins, 5 losses, two draws. So I think he got thrown into the deep end right off the bat. Like Tony Ferguson for your UFC debut on short notice. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's
He's
rough.
only 23 years old and he's getting thrown into Tony Ferguson, who's on like a 6-fight winning streak.
I think this is the problem, though, is he got thrown in way too soon and took so much damage and got into some bad habits that.
And now he's facing the top of the crop, like the at least the top 10 of the division because of that performance he gave against Tony Ferguson. And I think he's in a spot where maybe through the regular fans' perspective he belongs, but I don't think this is just too much for him, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's just I know he's 29. He got thrown into the wolves with the UFC. He's got a few wins here and there. He's got a few draws. He's got losses. Mike Grundy trains with Darren Till. He had a very bad fight with Musar, but Musar is undefeated, I believe. He's arguably one of the top contenders in the lightweight division. Mike Grundy did impress in his debut against a 5-fight veteran in Nad Narimani. So I think Mike Grundy's a lot better than people think. This is going to be a fireworks fight. Whenever Lando fights, you can never really predict it the way you want to because he's very unpredictable and he could catch Mike Grundy with something we don't even see coming. So you can never be extremely confident either way in a Lando Venata fight. These two are going to show up, and I expect this to be a fight of the night performance.
Yeah. So I got Mike Grundy, and once again, I don't remember last time we had three of this line, but minus 125 plus 105 for Grundy.
Every fight this UFC is even money. I've never seen
Fernanda. Sorry, Fernanda's the even money dog. Grundy's a slight favorite at minus 125.
Yeah, but if we go through each fight individually on this card, there's 8 out of 12 that are even money.
It's a crazy.
I've never seen that before.
It's a crazy close card, and that's why I'm so excited.
And a great card to make parlays, guys.
Exactly.
Throw a couple parlays in.
And they don't have to be deep when they're these prices. 2 to 3 parlays, just keep, and you're gonna have a profit at the end of the night. Here's an absolutely fascinating.
Oh, guys, I gotta just show you this for a second.
Yeah.
Jacob Rosales sent me a video. He wants to let you all know how good he looks. He got his hair done. He'll be tuning in any second. He just got his hair done.
Wonderful. Look, just for us.
Exactly. He knew this interview was today, and he wanted to look sharp.
Yeah, look good, fight good. Next fight, Grappler's Delight here.
Speaking of looking good and fighting good, Jacare Souza.
I thought you were going to say Andre Muniz, who, by the way, Andre Muniz, you want to take a look at how I do in Andre Muniz fights?
I'll take a look quick.
0-2.
I think that looks like my Andre Arlovsky page.
I picked Antonio Arroyo and Taylor Johnson. In Andre Muniz, Sergi Pano is his nickname. He is the 31-year-old now Brazilian, 20-4, really nice record, 6-fight win streak, fighting out of Tata Fight Team and Matiz Carlos. Hasn't fought since September of 2020, where he armbarred Bartosz Fabinski. Looked really good off his back, had a few submission attempts before finally locking it in against Bartosz, who has been sub before. Antonio Arroyo, that was a very good fight, really close fight also. Antonio was able to take him down, however. And I think that Taylor Johnson also was able to take him down, although Taylor Johnson did get subbed once it was taken to the ground. But Muniz has been shown to get it taken to the ground. For the most part, prior to the UFC, not facing a lot of notable guys, in my opinion. Had a win over Paulo Filo when he was still 23-5-3, but didn't finish him. His best win, a 10-3 Flavio Magan, who he won in round 1. And then probably Taylor Johnson, who was only 5-0 at the time, or, maybe a Fabinski. Now he's taken a huge step up in competition. He had to withdraw against Andrew Sanchez back in January of this year. Now he's taking on Jacare. Jacare, I'm 8-5 in Jacare fights, so there's that. Jacare's been going through a little bit of a rough spell, fighting out Fusion XL now. Got put away in a wild scramble against Kevin Holland. Fought to a split decision against Jan Blachowicz in his one light heavyweight appearance. So that's definitely aged well. Went to a decision with Hermanson. These are all guys that are really high-level guys, much higher level than an Andre Muniz. He was able to KO Chris Weidman in round 3. Fought Kelvin Gastelum, close, KO'd Derek Brunson twice. He was put away by Robert Whitaker. The guys he's lost to his last 5 are Robert Whitaker, Kelvin Gastelum, Jack Hermanson, Blachowicz, and Kevin Holland when he was in the middle of his 2020 Fighter of the Year run. So, and it was a really weird finish also in that one. So I feel like everybody has just gone out and buried Mr. Jacare, who's now 41 and a half years old. But yeah, he's going to have
BKFC's on the way.
Yeah, he's going to have a 6-inch reach disadvantage here. I do think that the wrestling severely favors Jacare. But we've seen how Muniz looks off his back. He looks really good off his back. We've seen that Jacare can be kind of scrambled with at this point a little bit too. It's a tough fight though, man, because this is such a huge step up in competition for Muniz. He's never faced anybody to the level of Jacare. And for me to think Muniz is going to sub Jacare is kind of crazy. And I get we've seen it with the Vieiras of the world, with Hernandez. It can happen to anybody, and Muniz has world-class skills. I just think he's been taken down against Taylor Johnson. He was taken down against Antonio Arroyo. I think that.
Well, I think he's accepting the takedowns.
Yeah, either way, I don't know if accepting takedowns against Jacare is a good route to victory.
Well, last fight was a different.
It was. So I'm if Jacare comes out and he gets scrambled and then punched from the back by a 78 or 84-inch reach.
That might ruin like a lightning strike. Like that's not going to happen again.
Yeah. So I've been back and forth on this one. I'm going to take Jacare. I'm not ready to kill the dog yet. I get he's 41 and a half years old. I get it has not looked good, but the level of competition he's faced compared to Muniz is light years apart. And I do think that just about each one besides Kevin Holland's finish, each one of those fights I think goes very similar for Muniz that they did for Jacare. He looks to be in good shape. He still looks to be able to take, some damage, and I don't question his grappling. So I'm going to take Jacare simply on the basis that there's levels to this shit. And Jacare is going to use the biggest advantage in his tools this fight, which is the grappling. Going to a split decision with Jan a couple of years ago is nothing to poo-poo about either. Muniz submitting Bartosz Favinski is great, but I mean, Jacare at 42 ain't Bartosz Favinski.
Well, yeah, everybody gets submitted by.
Yeah,
everybody submits Bartosz. Everybody.
Yeah, so I got Jacare here. I got him by a decision.
Yeah, the age difference is huge, man. Like 41 compared to 31, 10-year age difference at 185. It's huge. a big thing you got to put into perspective when you're making your bets. But Jacare is a beast, man. Like age isn't a factor with this guy. Even though he did lose his last fight, that was like a lightning strike. That's not going to happen again.
And he
Listen
was
to the
able to
stats
kick him.
Jacare has.
Mhm.
Jacare has the most finishes in the UFC middleweight division currently. Like 8. He's got 8 finishes. He's got the 4th most knockouts. He's so versatile. He can knock you out or he can submit you. He's a club and sub kind of fighter. And those are the most dangerous fighters you can fight because they can finish the fight if you're standing or if you're on the ground. And if you're in trouble, if Jacare gets you in trouble on the feet and you go, Bambi legs, Jacare is going to submit you because you're not all there. And as soon as he clamps something on, your first instinct is tap. You're going to tap. So club and sub fighters are some of the most dangerous fighters that you can compete against. And I feel for Andre here. I know this is a huge step up in competition, but this is also a very dangerous step up in competition. He's only 1-1. Is he 1-1 in the UFC? Sorry,
No,
he's 2-0 in the UFC.
2-0, but it's against a very subpar.
Antonio Arroyo, that might have been one of the most boring fights you'll ever watch. I don't recommend anybody going back to watch that fight.
And Arroyo got the takedown.
Antonio was one of the most laziest fighters in the UFC. Watch that fight. He is. I don't know why. Like, if you watch that fight, you'll be like, why is this guy even competing in the UFC? But Jacare, like I said, most finishes. He's very versatile. He's got the 5th best top position time percentage. It's not like he's got the 5th best. Like it's not like he's got the 5th most top position time. He's got the percentage on his hand. So when he steps into the octagon, like he's got the 5th most percentage time on his side. He's got the 5th best significant striking accuracy. He's got the 5th most submissions average per 15 minutes. He's a very dangerous opponent. 22 out of 26 finishes, 85% finishing rate. 18 out of 26 of those finishes are in round 1. So he's got a 69% finishing rate in round 1. So if this goes past round 1, you might be favoring Andre because Jacare's finished 70% of his fights in round 1. So, obviously, I'm not making a pick for this fight. I'm selling my picks, and I'm so fortunate that Fernando Padilla came on our podcast. Just rewind it. Padilla. Fernando Padilla. Rewind this podcast right now and
pretend it's a Y.
Fernando Padilla.
Yeah.
I got it.
Oh my God. Let's get some cases.
Everybody rewind this, and that was the most surreal moment of this podcast. And Jacob Rosales will be here any second.
All right. Sounds good.
So we're on the main card, right, buddy?
I will take. Yeah, I have Jacare. And do you want to guess the line for this one?
Yeah, I already know it's even.
Minus 125 Jacare, plus 105 Andre Muniz. Tell me where you heard that before.
I heard minus 110.
Yeah,
for each side, but
no, it's I have it minus 1.
I understand. Look at the age difference, man. Look, and it's prototypes of each other. Like they both have the same amount of knockouts. They both have the same amount of submissions. I know it's not the same caliber, but MMA is a different game now. Jacare was facing fighters when MMA was, like in their baby stages. So Jacare was able to submit those guys in an earlier stage where they didn't know submission defense. MMA is a completely different game in 2021.
Yeah, I agree. And so I'm actually going to have you tee up this next fight if you can, because I am running a business right now. And of course, business is calling. So I will be right back, but I'll return in a second. And I'll be right back, but go ahead and take us off or lead us into the perhaps fight of the night and Shane Burgos and Edson.
Yeah. Other than fight of the night, I did make a proposition for fight of the night earlier with Mike Grundy and Lando Venata, but this is definitely right up there. Shane Burgos, Edson Barboza, it definitely should be a co-main event in my opinion, but I understand why they're the opening fight on the pay-per-view. They want a banger to start off the friggin' 10 p.m. start on the pay-per-view. Everybody's going to be tuning into this fight. It's got fireworks written all over it. I can't wait for this fight, man. It's just both these guys have incredible stats too. Shane Burgos, the most strikes landed per minute in the UFC lightweight division. 7.31 strikes landed per minute. In the featherweight division. Edson slowing down at his age. He's 34. 35. Edson's 35. This is a young man's sport. Shane is
young man's division.
A beast. Pardon?
Young man's division, too.
Young man's division, yeah. You can't be 35 getting away with it like you can in light heavyweight and heavyweight. So Shane is a beast, man. That fight with Josh Emmett is arguably fight of the year for 2020. Go back, watch that fight. Tell me that doesn't get your fucking blood flowing and that fight was insane. I love that fight. Edson Barboza has put on some of the best knockout highlights we've ever seen. He's got 2 knockout of the year performances. He's got a beatdown of the year versus Dan Hooker, I think in 2019. He's still good at his age. He's still very dangerous and one of the best fighters in the UFC. He's probably one of the scariest fighters on the feet. You can't deny this guy. Edson Barboza, if you're standing with him, you're in trouble. Especially with those calf kicks.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we've seen Sean O'Malley, Jimmy Crute suffer from those calf kicks, and if Edson Barboza is really putting his 100% effort into perfecting that technique, that's going to be that's going to pay dividends in any fight he competes in, and he can do a lot of damage with kicks like those. I think he's one of the most skilled kickboxers in the UFC on the UFC roster. Shane Burgos is still making a name for himself, but he's one of the most fan favorite fighters on the UFC roster. And this fight is gonna be fucking insane, man. I can't wait for this fight. And I love how it's opening the pay-per-view. What other way are you gonna open up a pay-per-view?
Yeah, and I think this is a pay-per-view.
They failed with Thiago Santos and Alexander Rakic. They opened up a pay-per-view with those two, and they put on one of the most boring fights, one of the dullest fights I've seen. And I think this one, you can't say it's going to be boring. You just can't.
No, it's a very, very good fight. And Edson Barboza, in my opinion, should have gotten the nod over Dan Ige as well. And the Paul Felder fight was also super close. So that really takes it down to the quick finish over Justin Gaethje, where he kind of just rolled into the shot.
That was fight of the night, and it was only 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's weird.
But that was probably, like you said about Kyler Phillips yesterday. It was only a 2.5 minute fight, but you said it was really, really good.
So. Right, exactly. So, but either way, Edson has faced the major better competition, and now I have to go make this pickup, or go make this drop off. So I'll be right back. But Shane,
do a pick quick, and I'll start the next fight.
Yeah, thanks for coaching me through that, though. It's.
Oh wait, you skipped Matt Schnell and Rogerio Bontorin.
Okay, I'll get back to it then.
I'll do that one.
Yeah, so my pick is going to be Edson. I just think that Burgos does land a lot, but he takes a few too many shots defensively. Also, he's been rocked in a lot of his fights. I think that Edson has the ability to possibly put him away as well. And I have Bontorin as the third from the top, by the way. So we haven't gotten there yet.
Refresh your page.
What?
Refresh your page.
Okay, I just did. Still the third from. So we'll do it in that order. So you can lead us off in the Chukagian and Vivian Araujo, and I'll get the odds when we come back as well. I'll be right back. Sorry, everybody.
Okay. So we got Caitlin Chikagian versus Vivian Araújo. Caitlin Chikagian, definitely somebody you should know about by now. She's faced for the UFC flyweight championship against Valentina Shevchenko. She got stopped in the third round by a crucifix, ground and pound, very similar to what we saw Valentina do to Jessica Andrade. Vivian Araújo, a little older in her career, but she's definitely faced good competition. She had that loss to Jessica but Jessica I believe, weighed in a little heavy for that fight. I'm gonna double check here because these weight losses at the lower divisions are huge. Like the percentage wise, it's a very big percentage. So when Jessica fought Caitlin Chookagian, okay, sorry, it wasn't a weight miss, but I thought Caitlin Chookagian did face somebody that had a weight miss. Okay, so she faced Jennifer Maia. Jennifer Maia missed weight by Jennifer Maia weighed in 127.22 pounds, and Caitlin Chookagian still beat her by a 29-28 decision. Caitlin Chookagian has the most decision wins in this weight class. She has 6 decision wins. She has a very low finishing percentage. She's only finished 3 out of her 15 wins, which is a very low 20% rate. She has cashed as an underdog multiple times. So if you're on the Caitlin Chookagian train, if you've been riding it for a long time, you've cashed on her at a plus 205 against Cynthia Cavillo. You've cashed on her at plus 125 versus Antonina Shevchenko, who we talked about earlier.
Yep.
You've cashed on her at minus 150 versus Jessica Rose Clark, I believe. But yeah, she's been a very, very good fighter to bet on for sure because people underestimate her. And she's one of those fighters who makes a lot of noises when she fights. She'll jab and she'll
not a kiosk.
Not a echo.
Yeah. And usually, whether it's in front of a crowd or not, everybody's silent because it's not always the most exciting fights.
And judges actually take that into consideration, I find. And even with James Krause, I noticed with James Krause in fighters' corners, he's always yelling, good, you got it. Yep. Oh, perfect. I think especially the judges hear that. And I think that was a huge reason TJ Brown beat Kai Kamaka. Because you can hear James Krause from the beginning bell to the end. Mm-hmm. So that's very good corner work by James Krause. I don't know if he was manipulating, but
definitely is a part of it, especially in the empty octagons.
Yep. But at the same time, like you said, this isn't going to be an empty octagon. This is going to be a close fight, man. I see this going the distance as well. Viviane Araújo is more of a finisher, but she's also only has 4 out of her 10 wins by finish. Or sorry, she has 7 out of her 10 wins by finish. So she's definitely a finisher. She can finish in round 1 or round 3. She's got 3 out of her 10 in round 3. So you can't count her out any minute of this 3-round contest. And even though this is a woman fight, I think this is going to be a really good fight.
What do you mean? Even though it's a woman fight, you think it'll be a good fight? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, sometimes women fights are lackluster.
Sometimes men's fights are lackluster. Viviane Araújo.
Rogerio de Lima. I want to erase that. I want to just fucking erase that from my memory, that fight.
Yeah, so Viviane Araújo, 5'4", flyweight. She at one point was talking about going down to 115, I remember, after her debut at bantamweight. But at 34 years old, those weight cuts are not getting easier. She is 34 again, taking out 5'9" Caitlin Chookagian, who obviously Chookagian had trouble using the reach against Andrade, but that's Andrade. So I'm not going to rate that one too crazy. I think that Chookagian will look to use a similar game plan that she used against Antonina. where she looked to mix up the takedowns, use that black belt, make it more than just a stand-up bout. I think the 5'9" versus the 5'4" is going to be huge as well for when it is on the feet. I think the gas tank favors Chookagian. I don't think Chookagian is ever going to be a title contender, but she's going to be just short of that contendership. So I'm going to take Chookagian, and I'm going to take Chookagian the same way I will always take Chookagian, which is by a decision. So Chico has something to say, as always. But I have like 5.
It sucks that Galen's an underdog in this fight. She's usually an underdog. So
yeah, Chico is begging me to take Viviana Araujo, but I'm not going to listen to him this time. Vivian is the plus 110, minus 140 for.
Really not that absurd. It's really not that bad.
I love the price for Chookagian. Chookagian is much more battle tested. The younger fighter. Has the better gas tank, better reach, more ways to win. So,
and you're right. I refreshed my page, and you got the right.
Shocking that I'm right.
The right setup on the fights.
Some things never.
I can't believe Matt Schnell and Rogerio is the third fight.
They're expecting it to be a banger, and when they got rid of Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards, they wanted some. In their place, and they weren't going to put Chookagian and Viviana Araujo as the third from the top. So now we got a 135 fight between two featherweights. Or
they didn't put Jacare on the main card.
I mean, Jacare is kind of dust, and they needed something as their featured prelim. Matt Schnell and Rogerio Bontorin not having to cut weight here. It's going to be at 135. Right off the bat, I think that's a more advantage for Bontorin than for Schnell. Because I do believe Bontorin has a tougher time making the 125 division and just coming off that loss against Kai Kara France in a really great fight where he had plenty of opportunities from the grappling range. I do think that the likeliness for if Bontorin is to get into those grappling scenarios against Schnell, I think he finishes. So because Schnell's definite biggest gap is in the grappling. At times he can be submitted and kind of overwhelmed in that range. I know that against Smolka, it was the other side that was shown, but yeah, I like Bontorin quite a bit. 16-3, had a really good fight with Kai Kara France, lost to Ray Borg, who missed weight, and then had a weird stoppage win of Paiva where he got a cut, similar to Jordan Wright, a fight he was losing, but got the cut and got out of there with a win. So really, and Magomed Bibulatov was his only win in the UFC essentially, and that was a split. So he
missed weight too. Magomed,
right? And he missed weight, so he's had some unluckiness with the weights and everything like that. Matt Schnell looking really sharp lately for sure, dangerous if you will, coming off that win against Tyson Nam, which was a split that I don't really agree was a split. I thought it was very clearly for Schnell, and I bet Nam in that fight.
I bet Nam too, and I was just praying he would win.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what the judges were seeing there, to be honest. Pantoja was able to put him away. It was a good first round, but Pantoja won.
Pantoja's a beast, man.
Right, and then he was able to get the 2 triangles against Espinosa and Smolka. But
Did you watch Matt Schnell on the MTV fights?
I didn't, but I mean, I know he's on that.
You've heard about it?
Yeah, I think overall, I get he's had more submission than punch finishes, but I do think in this fight he's not going to be looking to mix it up in the grappling. I think keeping it on the feet is where he needs to go. Fights at ATT 5'8", 72.5-inch reach against Bontorin, who is only 5'5" and a 67-inch reach.
Yeah.
I do think still there's gas issues with Bontorin as well. Schnell should look to stretch this to the second and third round, and I could see a possible finish by strikes in that point. Kai Kara France, not much of a finisher himself, and he was able to get the finish. Schnell, much more potent finisher. I like a second or third round TKO victory for Matt Danger Schnell.
Yeah, do you know where Matt Schnell's training right now?
I believe in I'm not sure. Maybe not the main ATT camp, but maybe a Louisiana ATT camp, but I'm not positive.
Fortis MMA.
Oh, Good to know.
For the past year,
you just said that to not make me look like an idiot. But thanks.
Well, I didn't. You're the one that was calling me out yesterday. Oh, you don't do your homework.
Oh my God, you are like a fucking ex-girlfriend, man. Just like.
But yeah, Fortis MMA, at least a year now. He's been training there. I know he does gym hop. You're right. He did used to train at American Top Team. Louisiana boy, Dustin Poirier from Louisiana, Daniel Cormier, Andrea Lee, I believe. So yeah, a lot of good fighters from Louisiana. Rogerio Bontorin coming in short notice. Matt Schnell was originally supposed to fight. Blanking here. Do you know?
Oh, do you need my help? Oh, you need my help.
Well, you're my host. You're the host.
Oh, I'm the host. Okay, I wasn't sure. I don't know anything. He was supposed
to fight Alex Perez.
Yep.
Alex Perez, former title contender, and Rogerio stepping in. We'll see if he makes weight tomorrow morning. Matt Schnell. Actually, this is 135 now. It was supposed to be a flyweight, but
no, it's 135. Neither one's cutting.
They moved it to 135 because of the short notice. I understand that. Like 125 to 135 is a huge percentage of your weight. So, yes. I don't know if Rogerio. Let me double check if he's ever fought at 135. Let you guys know.
I believe he has.
I know Matt Schnell definitely has fought at 135. Oh, yeah, he did fight Rogerio Bontorin 2.5 years ago. He got a elbows finish in round 3. So, if anything, Rogerio might benefit from this 10 pounds. Matt Schnell is not the biggest fighter. Obviously, he's a flyweight, so he barely squeaked by Tyson Nam. He's got a nasty ground game, so if Rogerio Bontorin does want to take him down, he's not safe in that aspect either. I just see a really fast-paced fight between these guys. Somebody's going to get caught, I think. Like either with a submission or a knockout. I know it's flyweights, and usually they go all 3 rounds, but in this one, I really think somebody might just get knocked out or submitted.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I will take the favorite in Matt Schnell minus 160, plus 140 Bontorin coming back. I'd say that's fair. Fair.
Yo, you know where Matt Schnell trains right now?
I think it's Fortis MMA.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And we are on to the co-main event. We're going to speed through these last 2 because I have another podcast. I'm 25
Jacob's
minutes
coming
late.
on like any minute.
I have another podcast I'm 25 minutes late for.
So if Jacob comes on, what are we going to do?
You can stick with it and sign up. Okay. I don't know, man. Like, I'm sorry that I said I had to be out at 5 and it's 5:30 now. Like, this is like not how I run a podcast.
Okay.
Like, I get it. We're all busy, but he was supposed to be
on 30. In, we'll get like a quick 5 minutes in, and then
straight up, he was supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. So
I know he's got to get his hair done. Okay, people want to look good.
Straight up, I don't care that much to talk about it. Like, this is crazy.
He's a good guy.
I have other things to do. I have other things to fucking do.
Okay.
Like, holy shit.
Get the co-main event going. Let's go.
Yeah,
Tony versus Beneil.
Tony versus Beneil, man. Beneil Dariush, Benny as his nickname, 32 years old, taking on the 37-year-old Tony Ferguson, 25-5 versus 24-1. So similar levels of experience. Obviously, the level of competition, I would say, is in Tony Ferguson's corner, but not as much as I think some people think. He's coming off that split win of Diego Ferreira. Overall, he's on a 6-fight win streak. The 6-fight win streak over pretty good competition, but not quite the level of Tony Ferguson, Thiago Moises, Drew Dober, Frank Camacho, Drakkar Klose, Scott Holtzman, and Diego Ferreira. He definitely took some damage in each one of those spots, but, for the most part, did look pretty good. Has the 6-fight win streak since losing the 2 to Edson Barboza and Hernandez in the draw with Dunham, just kind of in the middle of seems to have corrected a lot of issues since then. Tony Ferguson is 25-5, 2-fight losing streak to Olivera and Gaethje Before that, had a win over Cerrone, Pettis, Lee, and all 3 of those wins, he lost the first round and had to come back. And 2 of those stoppages were by doctor stoppages.
You can even go back to Lando. He lost the first round in that too.
Yeah, and you told me Jacob Rosales, but we have Jacob Silva joining us since you told me the wrong name. So Jacob Silva.
Oh, my bad. Jacob Silva.
This is embarrassing enough for me, but I apologize for trusting my co-host. Not Jacob Rosales, Jacob Silva.
Yeah, there's too many Jacobs in this MMA game. I'm sorry.
Shut up for a minute.
But there's only one little animal, though. There's only one little animal, though.
Exactly. How you doing, Jacob? Can you hear us all right?
Man, I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. I just got my freaking.
Man, you're looking sharp as fuck.
Yeah.
Holy. Are you going to a nightclub tonight? You're going to a nightclub, aren't you?
He's got the best club in the world he's going to be taking on, and that's inside.
Yo, what does it say? Is it like
it's
just patterns?
It's a bomb. No, it's a bomb.
Yeah, exactly. Because this man throws bombs. Jacob Silva is joining us, so ignore the ticker first and foremost. I apologize for not getting the right information, putting Jacob Rosales there. But Jacob Silva, I am fortunately very familiar with you, being from the Contender Series. I've broken down your fights on there, and you had one of the best fights on the Contender Series. You probably heard plenty about that at this point.
Yeah,
but it's like we want to move on. We have another opportunity this Sunday for you to fight in front of Dana White. I think that Dana White will remember your name going into that fight too, and that's something you can't say a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times he doesn't remember the winners of the Contender Series, let alone the alleged loser of the Contender Series. What are your thoughts from your experience with that organization and getting that big fight type of preparation?
Man, you know what? That was to be honest, that was mind blowing, man. The whole experience was so overwhelming. It was more than what I was really expecting. And then I mean, they was just so organized. Everything was so well timed management wise. I mean, it was more than what you could ask for. And I mean, no disrespect to the promotion that I'm fighting for now. I mean, they try their best. But you have a lot of local fighters who do what they want. They don't show up on time, and they think they're actually bigger than what they are. So they cause a lot of headaches. But I mean, man, I think that's where I need to be. I mean, I think I'm that exciting of a fighter as well. And I got 3 days till is my big night. And yeah, you're right. I do think Dana, I think he knows of my name. He knows my face. I think he knows what I could bring. So we'll see, man.
He knows it, and Metro Fight Club is starting to get that little bit of a reputation thanks to your boy Adrian Yanez. Which my goodness, what is it like training with a guy who's on the rise like that day in and day out?
Man, it's crazy because I spar with him every day. Well, not every day, but I spar with him twice a day, twice a week, I would say. And it's just funny because I see him go in there and I see him just freaking beat up these guys like crazy, And his last fight, I was in his corner, and right after his fucking combination. Out of Adrian, I like that would have worked on me. And then Adrian just started laughing, But I mean, after you train with somebody for 5-6 years, what their style, their combination, what they're gonna throw, So I mean, it was no disrespect. It was just me being funny, that was about it. But
how much notice did you have for this opponent on Sunday? And what up, young fella? Young Silva in the back. What up?
One day we'll be seeing him in the big leagues.
That's my daughter.
That's the daughter, man. Next Ronda Rousey right there.
Yeah. So
that's what we fight for right there.
I'm telling you, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. That's that higher purpose. Did you have more than a couple weeks notice for Rashad Robinson?
No, I had like 8 days.
So this is another part of fighting with Fury FC or these organizations, is that this is kind of the norm. It's just you don't know who you're fighting, and then it's just I'm showing up and I'm gonna get that W. I know and I know that Jeff Molina. We got to see how he looked. I got to see him live at UFC 261 in Jacksonville. Nice. And talk about an up and coming kid right there.
Man, that's fight of the year so far. That's fight of the year.
He did amazing. If there was another 20 seconds on the clock, I don't know.
I wanted to see that go 5. That would have been a nice 5-round fight.
Yeah. I do think that was one where I'm wondering how he performs in an empty octagon as opposed to with a crowd. Because I do think that I do wonder if that adrenaline boost of the crowd.
He's a James Krause guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
those guys are killing it right now.
Either way,
I love the crowd, man.
You like James Krause?
Yeah, no, he said he loves the crowd.
Oh, do you like James Krause though? Yeah. He's legit, man.
Him too. He's legit. He's a amazing fighter and coach, man.
Yeah, and so
never takes the day off.
Yeah, so definitely. We're coming into this fight. We're on a 3-fight losing streak, and
sad to say.
Yeah, but no, okay, Aaron, I gotta stop you. That JP Buys fight was the most bullshit thing. What they did with Fabricio Werdum last week, they should have made that a no contest because JP Buys did not win that fucking fight, and he shouldn't even belong in the UFC. And we all saw JP Buys lose very badly against somebody who also shouldn't be in the UFC. So JP Buys is very fortunate that he won that fight against Jacob Silva on the Contender Series.
You're
very
right.
fortunate.
I think he got the contract because that was his second time in there, and then his wife plays a big role in why I think he got the contract because the UFC they want to hype up the husband and wife duo thing. They both fighting.
They blew up in their face. They both lost. So
Mark Goddard is one of the worst refs in MMA, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, that dude was
Mark Goddard always fucks up.
What's up?
Well, we saw Mark Goddard fuck up last week with Carlston Harris and Christian Aguilera. He let the choke go for too long, and Christian Aguilera's having like a seizure on the ground. He's like compulsating or whatever. Like he was having troubles. And Mark Goddard, I've said from the beginning, Mark Goddard is not a good ref.
No, I don't know. I mean, and that's not his first or second time doing that. It's been continuously over and over him, making these bad calls.
Yeah, he could have let Donald Cerrone last 20 more seconds. Donald Cerrone is somebody who's bad in the first round. Let Donald Cerrone last 20 more seconds and see him come out in the second round. And he was actually landing a lot of good body kicks that pay dividends later in the rounds. So
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree too. And I am curious to talk about referees. I'd love to talk about that on another interview on another day.
I just want to bury Mark Goddard for a second because I don't agree with his call.
It's allowing me to get a little research done as I did all my research on Jacob Rosales because that's who you told me was going to be on.
Jacob Silva's on here, buddy. Sorry.
Jacob, usually I'm a little more prepared and have a little better questions than the generic going through.
What are your thoughts on Randy Valero?
Yeah, so I was gonna fight him at first, but then he sent me a message on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and he had a big cut on his eye. He's like, hey man, I gotta pull out, So he sent me a long message. It's all cool. Nothing but love. So we're actually scheduled to fight next month in Philly as well. So if Dana White doesn't give me this contract, or if maybe he says no way you can come back on the down Contender Series again, I might take that route. Who knows? I don't know, because the Contender Series is probably August, and I think August might be too far. I think if I get 2 wins, I think with the right management, with my team behind me, I think I could just get maybe like a short notice fight, and that'll be that.
Well, if I was Dana White, I would want you on my roster. You're the type of guy that signs up short notice. You don't care who the opponent is. You've got 100% finishing rate. You've never went to the scorecards with a win. So, man, I don't know what Dana White is missing here. I just hope, I'm praying you go out Sunday with a banger and get a knockout or a submission, and Dana White recognizes your, your hard work ethic.
Yeah. Did y'all check out my last fight? My last free fight?
Yes, sir.
That was crazy too, man.
It was insane.
They're all fight of the night candidates.
Yeah, and you're facing your opponent is probably going to end up with a similar type of contender series or UFC opportunity after that as well. It was a crazy fight.
Bro, I know for a fact the guy I fought, CJ. I know for a fact he's already on the damn contender series, So
okay, yeah. So it's you're facing with your last 3 fights.
You're only going to learn from those high level losses.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah,
so,
and now,
like I said, I think I'm at that level where I could bang with the best of them, and I just need him to like give me that chance, man. And Sunday it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I'm so excited for Sunday, man. I've never been more excited for a Sunday fight night. I can't remember the last time I said I'm excited for fights on a Sunday, but this is going to be fireworks.
In Houston, then we got Sunday in Houston, and then Dana's going to be freaking in the house.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, we'll absolutely be watching Jacob Silva, not Jacob Rosales.
Hey, I've heard you 5 times. I'm sorry for mistaking Jacob.
It's okay. It's just
it's my boy. Okay.
We want to be able to show respect, obviously, and there was no disrespect meant on that. It was just a miscommunication. But we appreciate you honestly coming on here.
I'll be tuning in Sunday, man. UFC Fight Pass. Show Dana White. Show Dana White who the best fighter is that night.
Yeah, for sure. Hey,
yeah.
Right here.
Is there any sponsors or anything you need to plug before we kind of take off? I apologize. It's just I have another interview to get to, and I don't mean to be rushing you off at all.
I just want to say thanks, man. If y'all want to do another podcast, maybe tomorrow or Saturday, we can, because we had to quarantine for 3 days, so I'm gonna be in the hotel room with nothing to do. So,
sweet. We'll definitely figure something out. We'll be in contact so that we can have a little better of a setup here, not bore your daughter in the back there. But like honestly, you're a great sport here. I apologize
Thank you so much, my friend,
for you to make time. And
thank you, man. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day. I appreciate
absolutely, Jacob. And we will talk to you in the next couple of days. We'll do a little check-in.
Okay, peace, buddy.
Thank you so much for being on.
Be safe. Peace.
Take care. And all right, Jacob Silva, bro.
Sorry, my friend.
I think we need to have you hang out with more Latinos.
I think I have to just work on
between how you said Padilla's name and now getting Jacob Rosales and Jacob Silva confused. I'm a little concerned. So I got
both our guests on today. So what can you say?
Literally, we gotta go through these last.
But how awesome was that? We got to speak to Fernando Padilla.
Fucking Fernando Padilla! Holy shit!
Fernando Padilla, and we got to speak to Jacob Silva.
Bro,
both on
this
Fury
is like
FC.
I'm losing my fucking mind right now, dude. Like, god damn. Beneil Dariush, Tony Ferguson. Straight up, I think that Tony Ferguson has one of these runs that hindsight is 20/20, but there's a lot of issues with Tony Ferguson's run between the loss in the first round in his last 3 wins, as well as losing the first round to both Justin Gaethje and Olivera. He hasn't won a first round since probably Edson Barbosa in 2015. Notoriously slow starter, getting less and less durability overall, and he doesn't have the stopping power here. I think submission-wise, they match up very similarly. Beneil's really skilled in that route. I would think that this is Beneil's fight to lose. It is obviously a step up in competition for Beneil, but I'm not sure how much of a step up it is against Tony Ferguson at this point. Tony Ferguson just maybe comes into this fight, looks revitalized, looks refreshed, takes a more measured, appropriate approach. But I gotta go Beneil. I don't think he finishes him though, so I'll take Beneil decision.
Yeah, this is gonna be another banger. There's so many fight of the night contenders on this UFC card. I know it's flying under the radar because Nate Diaz pulled out, but you don't want to miss this UFC. It's gonna be good, man. And this is a good example of why it's gonna be good. We got the co-main event with Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush. Both these guys are coming in. Obviously, Tony's coming off a bit of a skid, 2 losses in a row. Beneil's trying to make a name for himself. He said, "This is going to be the most selfish 15 minutes of my life." So he's got a lot to gain here. If he wants to become the top caliber lightweights, he's got to get through Tony. And Tony just changed camps, I believe. He's training with Freddie Roach at the moment. I don't know how much Freddie Roach has really invested his time in Tony, but he does get rounds in with one of the best boxing coaches in Freddie Roach.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a rough skid. His age, 37 at 155, is very concerning.
There's a lot of bad spots in those wins too.
Yeah, and he's never came out flawless. I can't name one. Maybe Ramsey Nijam. That might be the one when he came out flawless. But he usually gets in trouble in fights. But Beneil, you can kind of say the same thing. He fights like a wild man. He's been knocked out 4 times, I believe. 4 or 3 times. He definitely leaves his chin exposed. So I just see this fight being more of a fan favorite fight. I'm really rooting for Beneil because I'm a big fan, but yeah, it can go either way.
Yep. So Beneil, this is getting close to a little too heavy for me. Minus 175, especially on a card like this where there's some other values. Plus 140. I'm just not sure. Ferguson really could come back in this fight, and I'm not sure if he's the dust people are portraying him to be after losing to Justin Gaethje and losing to Charles Oliveira. I'm just not sure, but I would lean Beneil Dariush. I'm not going to be betting it super heavy, though. This is a close card. It's hard to really find a lot of spots where I'm betting super heavy on this card because I can see all of these fights going either way, literally.
Well, yeah, look at the odds, man. I've never seen a UFC with this many close odds.
And that's why I just disagree when people call it not stacked, because in my opinion, when it's proper matchups, that makes it stacked.
Yeah.
And what we may see is a lot more decisions because of how closely these are matched up. So I might be taking a lot more overs than I usually do, even in some fights where I would expect the under typically, just because the matchups are there. Here's a parlay. Chandler, Ferguson, Barboza. Yeah, I don't like that at all. It's plus 1,000, but yeah, I'm not crazy about that one.
Yeah, risky business. You can get a plus 1,000 prop bet, and all you need is one thing to win.
1 or 2, yeah, exactly. But we're gonna move on. I apologize to rush through the rest of this, but this is an over 2-hour podcast, and I have to do another right after this, and I have to at some point eat and continue to run a business. So Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler is the main event for the 155 lightweight title. 30-8 Charles du Bronx Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler, Iron Mike, 22-5. He's 35 versus the 31-year-old Oliveira. Michael Chandler coming off that very impressive KO win, although it was of Daniel Hooker. So Dan Hooker has been finished.
I like Dan Hooker.
I do too, but I'm not sure if beating Dan Hooker means that you are a title worthy fighter.
Dustin Poirier beat the bricks off him. I think Michael Chandler got leftovers on that end.
Yeah, I mean but Chandler really did look impressive in that, put him away inside of a round on Fight Island on the Poirier McGregor card. He did weigh in at 155. He's been able to avenge his loss to Brett Primus over in Bellator. He has 2 losses to Will Brooks, including getting knocked out in the 4th round where he didn't know what happened. He was standing up and asked what happened, and he had just like completely blacked out. He's had some very weird fights. He's had some wars with Eddie Alvarez, which are some of the best fights you're ever going to see. But has 2 wins over has a win over Patricky Pitbull, lost to Patricio Pitbull. And so there are chin issues, but Charles Oliveira.
That was the most perfectly placed punch that Patricio landed. Like nobody would have been able to last that. It was right in the temple.
So. Right, and it's just not exact. And I know Charles Oliveira does have some KO finishes, but for the most part, we know Charles for his submission game. He has a world-class submission game, has the most submissions in UFC history. He has the most finishes, fight of the nights galore. He's on a 8 fight win streak? 8 fight win streak.
And your check marks.
What's that?
You're good with Charles Oliveira.
I'm very good with Charles Oliveira. I just pick him. So
I know, but because of how many times he's folded through adversity, it's hard to pick him.
Yeah, but the other thing is at 31 years old and really entering his late 20s, he seemed to have solved that adversity issue. He did. Yeah. His last finish was against Paul Felder in 2017. He was also guillotined by both Lamas, Pettis.
That was both at featherweight.
Yeah, both at featherweight. So I think there was some gas issues that was allowing him to be put into weird
esophagus injury. Esophagus injury? Have you ever heard of that?
No, I mean, and it's just, but
it happens, I guess.
On the 8 fight win streak, Clay Guida, not great. Christos Giagos, where he was pressured a lot in that fight, and it was a really good fight, and he did not fold. He actually took some really good shots and fought back, had a bloody nose, looked really good. David Tamor, there was just such a huge.
He won every round against Kevin Lee, by the way.
Yep,
he was up 2 rounds going into that 3rd. So
and he looked really good.
To let you guys know, he has not lost a round since Paul Felder.
Yeah, and so he's been on fire, and I do think he's corrected a lot of those quitting kind of narrative. I will say this much: the UFC has not advertised Charles Du Bronx one fucking bit this week.
He doesn't speak English, so you got to speak English, buddy. We don't understand Portuguese.
Show his fights. Fights.
Yeah, he has tons of highlights you can feed off of. Yeah,
but I do think that the narrative here is that Chandler has an indomitable will, can't be stopped, can't be finished, and he's been finished a bunch. He's been finished a bunch by much lower competition. He is 35 years old. I get he looked good in 2.5 minutes. We do not know a lot about him from the Dan Hooker fight at all. I was leaning Michael Chandler for much of the week, but I actually believe that this is a very good live bet potential opportunity for Charlie Oliveira. I think Charlie Oliveira is going to be my pick. I'm going to take a 3rd to 4th round finish for Charles Oliveira. I think that the gas tank is on Charles' side. And I think that to be honest, that the UFC really wants Chandler to win. And so far in big main events this year, the UFC does not get what they want. So I know that's kind of an inscientific way of putting it. Charles Oliveira has faced
Israel Adesanya didn't win. Conor McGregor didn't win. We can just keep rattling off names.
And again, Dana does not want Charles Oliveira to be champion because he doesn't speak English and he doesn't have this imposing, and he doesn't talk like Ric Flair.
Here, let me play this right now. How does this all get you pumped up?
I'll be right back.
Can you hear it?
Go. No. But I'll be right back. I have another dog dropped off, but what are your thoughts on this fight? Go ahead.
So just tell me, can you hear this right now?
No. Nope. And I'll be right back because I have to take care of my business.
Michael Chandler gave one of the best post-fight interviews of all time. He definitely deserves this spot. I know nobody knows about him because he fought in Bellator, but He fought the best competitors in Bellator and put most of them away. He's 35 at this point. He's definitely got to make a run now. He's running off a lot of momentum. Charles Olivera has been fighting in the UFC pretty much since Michael Chandler started fighting in MMA. So we got to put that into perspective as well. This is definitely a toss-up fight. You can never be extremely confident in a Charles Olivera fight with the past performances he has. He has a bad history of quitting on himself, but it seems like he's fought past that stage in his life. He's really filled in at a 155 frame. He's actually a really big 155er. I can't believe he made 145. So I see Michael Chandler. If he wants to win this, he's going to have to knock him out. He's not going to be able to submit Charles Olivera, especially at the level Charles Olivera is executing his game plans right now. He's just too fresh, too smooth, too dominant. He's younger, faster. He doesn't have as much expectations as Michael Chandler, but Michael Chandler is relishing this underdog role. He said he's won as an underdog against Daniel Hooker. He said he's going to win as an underdog again versus Charles Olivera. And then he said he's going to win as an underdog again versus the winner of Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. So he's all in on himself, like any athlete's going to be. And this is a coin flipper. This is really a coin flip fight. I really like what Michael Chandler has done in the MMA game, whether it comes to Bellator, his debut in the UFC. I'm really happy that he's getting this opportunity because he's paid his dues. Charles Olivera is one of my favorite fighters as well. One of the best submission fighters you'll ever see. There's so many small nuances that you don't really notice when he fights, but he's on another level, and nobody is as gifted as Charles Olivera on the ground.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a great back and forth fight. If I had to make one prediction, I'll let you guys know this isn't going 5 rounds.
There you go. That's some free information. It's like a trial, like a free trial.
If it goes 5 rounds, then I owe everybody a free weeks of play or something.
Yeah, but
I don't think it will go 5 rounds, honestly.
Charles Olivera is the favorite, minus 135, plus 115 for Chandler. Another close one. Go with your feel. Chandler is less of an underdog here than he was against Dan Hooker, though. So go figure.
I think those lines are going to get closer and closer. So wait till Saturday if you're a Charles Olivera fan.
Yeah, if you're Charles Olivera, there's no rush to bet on him at all. Yeah, I agree. But this is awesome.
This is a good show, man.
This is a good show. Jacob Silva, shout out to you. Jacob Silva, shout out to you for being such a good sport. I don't think I would have shown up to an interview where they had the wrong name. So, but this is how this sausage is made.
But he's definitely down if we want to talk to him on Saturday.
We'll talk about off the camera. Okay. We'll talk about things off camera.
I know, you gotta go. You gotta go. Fuck. I know.
Holy fuck.
You gotta go.
Oh my god, dude. I'm at my wit's end. For Aaron the dog, for Brandon of MMA Wagers, until maybe we'll have another one. We'll see. But until next time,
next week,
keep cashing those bets. Next week we'll be back with the LFA, Bellator, and UFC, I believe. But stay tuned on MMA Stooges. For Aaron, for Brandon, take care and keep taking care of each other. Peace out.